Hello and welcome to the Talking NorCal podcast, the official podcast of Active NorCal. I am your host, Zach, and with me here, as always, it's Chewbacca Bob.
Chewbacca Bob. I was hoping you were going to say triple bogey Bob because I'm almost there.
You're almost at triple bogey?
I'm almost averaging a triple bogey right now.
No, you're averaging better.
No.
Yeah, you are.
I added it up.
Oh, okay.
A triple bogey would be about 108, and I'm averaging
okay.
115, so
Gotcha.
I'm working towards that triple bogey Bob.
Well, I called you Chewbacca Bob because we're recording this on May the 4th.
May the 4th be
May
with
the
you.
4th be with you as well.
Mm-hmm.
And so we're doing a lot of Star Wars content. You're not going to hear this for a couple days, but until Thursday. It's Tuesday. You won't hear it till Thursday. But we're celebrating today, Star Wars Day. We're also celebrating today because we have an awesome interview with Chuck and Leland Vogt. Chuck is the founder and owner of Tahoe Longboards, and his son, Leland, is a 5-year-old professional snowboarder in Tahoe. The kid crushes the mountain. He is a shredder. He's got sponsors. He's got a fire social media account. And just an all-around cool kid. So we talked with them. We got that interview coming up. But first, we would like for you to subscribe to the Active NorCal newsletter. Not our podcast as well, but our newsletter. Our NorCal Beat newsletter goes out once a week, and it highlights all the top news from Northern California throughout the week. We got all sorts of fun features in there that highlights our content, and we want you to subscribe to it so we can get into your email every single week. Go to activenorcal.com/subscribe. Type in your email, and you're going to get some fire content from us. Also, subscribe to the Talking NorCal podcasts. We are everywhere you find podcasts: Spotify, Apple, Stitcher, iHeartRadio,
YouTube,
Spotify. Yes, subscribe to us on YouTube as well as all of our social media accounts. You won't regret it. We'll do a lot of the clips from this show, which are a lot of fun, like last week's Bob's rain dance songs. You know, they went
rain dance.
They went pretty fire on social media last week. So follow us wherever you are on social. Subscribe to us. We really appreciate the support. Let's hop into this awesome episode with the Tahoe's Hella NorCal.
NorCal, we're hella NorCal, and I could spend all day just chilling in the South Bay. We're NorCal, we're hella NorCal, and there are no salad dudes who kick it down in Santa Cruz. Or NorCal, we're hella NorCal, and we get a little cray-cray when we visit the East Bay. We're NorCal, we're hella NorCal.
It's a beautiful spring day here in Northern California. The weather is heating up tremendously.
It's 82 and sunny today, and it's warming up big time.
I know it's heating up because I'm now starting to perspire as I walk to and from my office. In August, that's going to be a full-blown sweat. So that should be a lot of fun to walk into my office just fully sweating.
Definitely shorts weather. It's not because it feels good. It's almost a requirement. I mean, in order to not completely be saturated with sweat, shorts.
I almost wonder what people think of me when I walk into my office wearing shorts and sandals every single day. Like some people in this office building we're in, they dress up. They wear pants and colored shirts and everything. And today especially, I rolled in with this wild tie-dye shirt.
Great shirt though.
Shorts and
Flip-flops,
sandals. Yeah. And I have been pretty consistent with my flip-flop wearing lately. So I don't know if people look at me poorly, but hey, they're just jealous because I have a better job than them.
In San Diego, sandal and short weather doesn't ever end. It's just year round.
That's true. Yeah. Here we have seasons. And this is really one of my favorite seasons because it's not hot yet, right? But you have all the, especially since we're in a drought, it almost feels like summer, because everything's already dry. So it's summer without the 100-degree temperatures.
Well, and you're getting the spring colors. Things are starting to bloom. The colors are changing. They're starting to become green back on the trees that lost all of that during the winter.
Right. It's also, there's a lot of pollen out there right now, which is a little
allergy
brutal.
season.
Allergy season. But it's just beautiful here in NorCal. Did you see I did a food review yesterday?
I did see that.
I've been feeling like I've just been walking around here in Midtown Sacramento. It's been a lot of fun. So we want to do more food content. So I went and Googled the best chicken sandwich in Sacramento. It just happens to be around the corner.
As I mentioned to you earlier, fried chicken sandwiches are easily go viral. Everyone loves them. I am now hungry and want to.
I should buy it for you, or I should make you do food reviews on this podcast and just bring you different foods every day.
Let's go
and see what happens. Maybe some donuts or something,
bro.
Because we do shoot this in the morning, so it might be hard to bring you a full blown burger. But it was world famous Hot Boys, which is right around the corner from my office here in Midtown. It was the biggest piece of meat I've ever seen. The piece of fried chicken was twice the size of the bun.
It was probably chicken breast. Hold on, let me go back and look at that picture.
Yeah, I think it was chicken breast. It was huge, but it's legit. You pick it up, it feels 10 pounds.
Yep.
It's got slaw, it's got pickles.
All the good stuff.
I wasn't a fan of their fries. I said that on the review. You could see my full review on Active NorCal. But it was so good. And the guy at the thing, I ordered it medium spicy because I didn't want it to be too spicy for my review. He's like, no, most people can't handle medium. I'm like, bro, you don't know who you're talking to here. I love spicy food.
My mouth's watering, I'm not going to lie. It's kind of hard to tell. It could be a breast. It might not be. A chicken breast is huge. So that would be, at minimum for the restaurant, they would probably at least slice those chicken breasts in half just so they can at least have 2 sandwiches for every piece of meat as opposed to 1. Because a chicken breast is gigantic, and just having that on a sandwich is huge. And this is a big piece of chicken. It does look pretty good, but I'm hungry. I don't know if this is chicken breast. I can't wait to try it. I would not get medium. I'm going to go with the mild because my palate can't handle spicy as much
It was
anymore.
somewhat spicy. It wasn't even close to what he was saying, but it was really good. And I've always passed that place and been like, what is this place? There's always a line out the front. And now I know. And I'll, hopefully I don't go to lunch there too much because it could be bad for my summer bod. But I'm going to try to do some more food stuff. Maybe next week I'll bring some fun donuts or something. Yeah. How about that?
Listen, I'm all about it. We need to find the best donuts in Sacramento. There's a donut place by my house, but I haven't been there yet. I'm trying to slim up again.
Oh, Slim Bob.
Listen, Fat Bob is losing his steam.
Fat Bob is dead.
Skinny Bob is back. I have breached 180. I am now less than 180. I hit 192 during quarantine. I'm down to 179. So we're working in the right direction.
I am trying to work in that same direction myself.
Although I did eat Taco Bell last night.
Oh. Well, I'm working in that same direction, but we could find some, just have a little donut here and there for the podcast.
Yep.
It's for the pod.
It's for the pod.
So if you have any places that you'd like for us to go, especially here in Sac, because we're not necessarily totally in tune with the culinary scene here quite yet. We moved here and then went into quarantine.
Well, how about this? What about you? How was your dinner at Firehouse? You went to dinner at Firehouse this last week.
It was good. I don't want to say any bad things about them.
Food was great, though, right?
Food was great. They rushed us in and out of there, and I have a feeling it's because they can only have a certain amount of people inside. Right. And it was we got our oysters before our drinks. Everything came. I had my steak in 20 minutes of sitting down. That's too fast.
Right.
And my wife especially wants to enjoy a long dinner and talk and take in, and they rushed us out of there. And it's we almost felt like we had to leave or else we would have gotten another drink and hung out, got dessert. But we're like, these guys don't want us here.
It's part of what the scene is right now with the limited capacity. I had a similar, and we both love the Firehouse, and so they're limited on what they can do, and so I'm sure this is something that they're kind of being forced into in order to pay the bills. I went to a winery earlier this week that kind of does the same thing, but the way that they have a different perspective is that they actually are very much telling you that this experience is 60 minutes.
Yeah.
It is a 60-minute experience. This winery only takes appointments only. And in all of the conversations and all of the emails and things are 60 minutes, 60 minutes, 60 minutes, 60 minutes. And so I was talking to the guy that works at that winery, and I was like, how do you make it feel less like you're pushing people out? And they're like, we're just honest. We're like, this is it. And that's
important.
It's something that's going to be changing in the restaurant world with things opening up more and more. But it's just part of right now the process.
You would think for a nice, expensive dinner that they wouldn't rush you out. And we probably would have gotten more stuff. But we're like, they don't want us here. And I get it. They probably have reservations behind us, and they can only have a certain amount of people in. I'll tell you what, though. This Firehouse is in Old Town Sacramento, and it's a really nice restaurant. But outside of it, there was this crazy, impromptu car show, and there were the old cars jumping up and down.
Lowriders.
The lowriders with hydraulics. It was wild. That place is wild. I mean, I haven't been to Old Sac in a long time. I didn't know that was a thing, but
I think I've said it before. Firehouse is probably my favorite restaurant in Sacramento at this point. I do love that there's an Irish pub across the street. Go get a Jameson Guinness, go across the street, have a beautiful steak dinner. So, yeah, it's tough to hear that you had a little bit of a rush out, but I'm sure that'll change once everything's back to normal.
I did get the 16-ounce steak. It was delicious, yeah. All right, well, that does it for our little personal talk, I guess, there. I didn't have anything else to talk about, but we do want to talk more food, so I'll try to surprise you here in the upcoming. Just like you surprised me with freaking songs last week, I'm gonna surprise you with some food and make Bob do some live food reviews.
Let's go.
So that's all I had. Let's get into the news of the week.
All right, first story in the NorCal news of the week. The highly anticipated Redwood Sky Walk is all set to open in Eureka. We've talked about this before. I think this is absolutely fantastic.
Yeah, this is a really cool project they're doing here in the Eureka Zoo. They've had some people, they call it beta visits. Some people come in and check it out. Some different media members, some people on the city council. Everyone gave it glowing reviews. It's opening on your birthday, May 14th. And they're having the official grand opening party on June 4th. And basically, it's at the Sequoia Park Zoo in Eureka. It's this 100-foot high suspended pathway through the redwoods that you walk sort of on this self-guided tour all around. There's like an adventure section, and they put a lot of money into this. Both the city put some money into it, and the 3 different tourism bureaus put a combined like $1.7 million into it. So this is a huge deal for Eureka and for their tourism, and just a really cool adventure in the NorCal Redwoods. So yeah, they invited me out to the grand opening. I'm going to try to make it on June 4th, but we'll definitely get out there sooner rather than later.
Yeah, it looks great. I've always said this looks like a really fun, adventurous thing. And if you go and look at the video that they've posted, it looks great. And what I think stood out to me most is that it looks like there's very minimal, abuse to the environment in building this. You know, it was more like when we went to summer camp when we were kids, we built a fort without using a single nail. You know, we're tying all of these pieces of wood to the,
I remember that,
to the tree. And I got the same vibe when watching this. You know, it's much more like, the natural environment is very much intact, but these like sky bridges just kind of connect trees, and it's fantastic. You know, it's got this great view. It looks beautiful. That area speaking of May the 4th, it reminds me of Star Wars.
Oh, you took my
just looking at that area, right? I mean, I'm looking for Ewoks. Like,
well, you look at this picture from the Sequoia Park Zoo that we have on Active NorCal, and it just looks like the Ewoks' home. And it basically is. Right? It's in the area where they shot Return of the Jedi on the moon of Endor or whatever. But just the way it's positioned up there and the different platforms looks just like the Ewoks' little village there.
All right, this is a bit of a side conversation, but it just came to me. Are Ewoks baby Bigfoot?
No, because they're...
Process that one.
Well, no, they're not babies.
Process that one. Who's to say?
They are.
Who's to say?
Maybe Bigfoot evolved from Ewoks.
Maybe they're little
to grow bigger.
Maybe they're like the little person version.
Or no. But since is Star Wars in the future? I think it's no one really knows.
Probably.
But let's say Star Wars is in the future, then Ewoks evolved from Bigfoot and just shrunk down because, well, that makes no sense. But no, they are like Bigfoot. And that's why they sort of make sense, looking at the woods. Like Ewoks just look cool in the woods, and so do Bigfoot.
I don't know if anyone else has made the comparison of Ewoks and Bigfoot, but I'm taking 100% credit for it.
Well, same with Chewbacca. He's very Bigfoot-y.
That's a much better...
yeah, he's tall. Yeah.
But yeah, great story. Again, this looks great. I think this will be a great video. I think this will bring some tourism. It's a family-friendly thing to do, So really exciting. And the fact that they're opening on my birthday, not a bad thing.
Yeah, this is going to be a big place to go. And by the way, there's already a place like this up further north, kind of way remote in Del Norte County. But this is actually in Eureka. It's much more, visited by tourists, and so it will see a lot more visitors than the one up north. And I think this one looks pretty big compared to the other one, quite frankly. So yeah, cool story. This was our most read story of the week, and there's no question why it was.
Yeah, no, totally great story. Okay, next story, not as fun.
Let it ride!
New fire burning through the the Big Basin Redwoods could have been started from last year's embers. This is
going to be hard if you're playing this when we have like this somber...
You have to bring light to these situations. We're going to be continuing to talk about them.
It's true. It's going to be a hot topic here on this podcast through the entire year.
Hot topic, pun intended.
Make it rain! Okay, sorry. So, yes. So there was recently, this past week, a fire in the Big Basin Redwoods State Park. And it only grew to about 7,000 acres. And it was part of the park that had not burned. And if you don't know, the Big Basin Redwoods Park burned to the ground in August of 2020. Like, it's not going to open anytime soon. It's super dangerous to go in there. Their visitor center completely burned to the ground. So another fire started here this past week. And oddly enough, it may have been caused by embers from the last fire. So technically, it still is the CZU Lightning Complex fire, but it just popped back up 9 months later.
It's a scary thing, and I think this really highlights the lack of rain that we've gotten. You can go through an entire winter, and a fire will be continuing to burn because of the lack of rain in that area. If there was enough, water saturation, this fire would have been naturally put out. But and we're not saying it's factual. They're saying it could have been started.
It could have been.
Really,
they haven't finished
reason,
the investigation.
Right?
Yeah, there's no one allowed in that area.
There's no. How else would it have started? And so
there was no lightning.
Right.
There's no humans, which humans are mostly the reason why it's done. And there's a lot of reasons a fire can start, but this makes sense. Scientists recently reported there were record levels of dryness in the Santa Cruz Mountains. And then this thing just pops up. So the theory is that whether it's deep in a redwood, whether it's hiding in the soil or in the roots somewhere in this redwood forest, some embers have been alive,
living and breathing this whole 10 months later,
a little under 10 months later, and it was so dry, some winds picked up, and boom, there's another fire. I've never heard of it.
Me either, and it's scary.
Yeah.
If we continue to get the lack of rain, stories like this will continue, and it's just a scary thing for Northern California and California in general. 2020, as we mentioned many times before, was the biggest wildfire season in the history of California. Over 4 million acres burned in the state. So we're doing everything that we can to
rain dance
all over the place.
Yes, I do think that. Oh, I'm supposed to take you.
This is how we get through these negative things.
What was I going to say? So I think this is a rare circumstance where these redwood trees are so dense and thick. I don't necessarily think this would occur in a different habitat other than these redwood forests. I'm probably wrong there. Like, it could happen other places, but I think there's a higher chance of it happening within this ecosystem of the redwoods. I'll just say that. which is good because that's the only well, I mean, there were some redwoods up in Sonoma that burned as well, but for the most part, these fires that we saw last year were not in redwood forests. So that's a good thing moving forward. Hopefully we don't have fires just popping up out of the ground from seemingly nowhere.
That's all we need.
Yeah.
Okay, next story. Tahoe is asking visitors to take a pledge to preserve its outdoor destination. Now, when I first read the title of this article, I'm like thinking, so every time somebody comes to Tahoe, like there's a line where they have to like raise their right hand and pledge.
It's not a bad idea.
And it made me laugh. Come to find out that's not necessarily accurate, but I do like this initiative. Let's keep Tahoe blue. All of those fun things.
This is a marketing campaign from the tourist bureaus of Tahoe, which I fully support. They have, since the pandemic, everyone decided to go to Tahoe to get out of the city, whether that be Sacramento, the Bay Area, LA, whatever. And with it comes a lot of naive people to the ecosystem of Tahoe, people that don't know how to leave no trace, and they don't know what their impact has on these natural resources of Tahoe, which, I mean, we've talked about it a million times. Are we seeing the end of Tahoe as we know it? It's now becoming this developed place. So these tourism bureaus started the Traveler Responsibility Pledge, which basically has 6 principles. I mean, should I talk through these?
Just
Is this
blast
helpful?
through them. Just blast through them.
So first, become a steward of Tahoe Truckee, right? Without saying, respect the environment. Done. Stay educated, which is one of these know before you go things. Don't go.
Do your research.
Well, don't go into the wilderness unprepared and have a bunch of people having to rescue you. That's a big problem. Keep wildlife wild. Don't feed animals, basically. Be fire safe. Know where you can and can't have fires in the area. Desolation Wilderness, don't have a fire. They don't allow fires there anymore. Demonstrate mindful travel. If certain areas look too crowded, don't go there. So you take this pledge, I guess, in your car as you're driving up 80 or 50. I promise not to mess up Tahoe when I go there. And look, it's certainly it's not going to, no one's going to be arrested for not taking the pledge or not listening to the pledge or whatever. But this is just a educational campaign to make sure. I mean, they've had so many instances where the trash is piling up big time. And, this is going to be something where the locals revolt and they don't let people visit Tahoe anymore. And that could be a huge problem because I love visiting Tahoe.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if the locals are going to keep out the tourism, but what?
Well, I don't know if they can, but they were protesting last year. Locals went to the streets and protested, said, "Stop letting these people in. They are killing our environment." So,
well, you also mentioned that you're not going to be arrested if you don't follow this, but pretty much every single one of these does have laws tied to them.
True.
So that you can be arrested for. So. It's just another marketing campaign, like keep Tahoe blue, do all of the things that you can, and that we're big advocates for being as leave something cleaner than you got there, kind of when you're outdoors. Yeah, so I mean, I'm not really shocked by this. I hope everybody tries to be mindful when you're traveling to the Northern California and any outdoor destination for that matter. Be clean. Don't be an asshole.
Don't be an asshole. It's that simple. If you're going to go to the beach, you clean up after yourself. Don't smoke a cigarette and then leave it in the sand. Like, you're an asshole if you do that. Every single year they pick up cigarette butts, and it's something in like the hundreds of thousands. It's insane. So, all these nonprofits are going around cleaning up after you, but their resources dry up after a while. And so eventually the trash is going to pile up so bad and you're going to destroy Lake Tahoe. And we're already seeing like the clarity levels of the lake, getting worse. So please, if you visit Tahoe or anywhere in the outdoors in Northern California for that matter, or anywhere in the outdoors period, don't be an asshole, period.
Don't be an asshole. Okay. Next story, another
Rain dance!
type story. How bad is the drought in NorCal? DWR just canceled their snow survey because there just isn't any snow.
Yeah, so they do 4 snow surveys throughout the water year. May 1st being the final one, and they're like, guys, there's no snow to survey, which is crazy. Which is, I mean, and this goes to, we're in the 3rd driest precipitation water year ever recorded in California, which means the snow has already melted. We haven't seen much snow at all for the past 2.5 months, 2 months. So this is bad on all sorts of levels. And in fact, the state Senate just proposed a $3.4 billion proposal designed to mitigate the impacts of the dry year.
This is huge because it's more money than they've ever spent on something like this, and it's meant to
by far.
It's meant to make an impact immediately. It's not supposed to make an impact 6 months from now. What in the article on ActiveNorCal.com, it mentions purchasing water from farms, which will go back into kind of public waterways, which will help alleviate any of the stress from some of the local fish populations that are suffering because of the low levels of water. So, yeah, I mean, obviously, this is a theme. Again, we talk about it constantly, that the lack of water is terrible, not only for the wildfire season in Northern California, but also the economic impact because people aren't going to be traveling as much to Tahoe if there's not as much snowboarding, or Mount Shasta because there's just no snow. So it's crazy that they're like, there's literally 0 snow, so we're going to stop this survey. Another story that you just hate to hear.
Yeah, I'm a little, I mean, this proposal, I guess, is good, right? You're protecting native fish, great. You're buying back water from farmers, great, because farmers need water, but if you pay them the money that they might lose if they lose the water, then we're square, right? So that's good. I really wish, I mean, that $3.4 billion could build Sites Reservoir. Like, I know that they're trying to do some short-term stuff, but all the bureaucratic nonsense that goes into something like Sites Reservoir, which is, this proposed lake that they're working on in Calusa, that is basically a water storage lake. That's all it is. And it's a great idea. They just take money. They take water. Water is money, I guess. They take water out of the Sacramento River, filter it into this giant lake in Calusa County in the middle of nowhere, and it just sits there, and you can use it whenever. Why are we taking so long for these projects? And again, I get it. We need to protect the native fish. We need to make sure the farmers are taken care of with all this water stuff. But let's also put money into the stuff that's going to help us long term and short term, Sites Reservoir. So I understand what they're trying to do, but I wish that they would, move forward with some more long term stuff. So that's my rant.
Let it ride!
All right, last story. A wildflower super bloom has taken over the dreadfully low Folsom Lake.
Push the button.
Which one?
Make it rain.
Rain dance!
Yeah, because
Let it ride!
This is, I didn't even mean to do this, but all of our stories are somewhat drought related, most of them. So yes, there is, where there used to be water in Folsom Lake, there is now this huge lupine wildflower bloom. And this, we had written about this last week, and now it's become this mass exodus of people visiting it, which is a problem, obviously. But this is such a rare occurrence. The lake is so low. It's 50%. It's half the size it usually is. And so this is more fertile ground. It's usually underwater. And the entire land is just bright purple.
Remember when we went kayaking at Whiskey Town? It was just a little bit over a year ago now, when we were driving back through Old Shasta. We had to pull over because all the blooming flowers.
That's actually going on right now, too.
This time of year, yeah.
I mean, it's spring, yeah.
It's gorgeous. You got the lupine, you got the California poppies. It's great. Lavender's going crazy. We just had the mustard blooms, which is great. It's a beautiful time of year around here.
Yeah, I mean, the problem is that, for one, Folsom doesn't have any water, so that's a problem. And two, because this is such a rare situation, might not happen again for 10 years. Hopefully, knock on wood, hopefully it doesn't happen because it's full of water. People are out there in droves, and but let me just be clear. If you want to visit this place on the weekend, good luck. It's going to be packed to the brim. They have announced that they are citing people for illegally parking because there's not much parking there. Not many people go there usually because it's water, not, a wildflower bloom. Go during the week, in the morning if possible. And also stay on the trails. Like, people are doing their little stupid Instagram where they're laying down or whatever. Don't do that. Like, just let everyone enjoy the bloom. I think their marketing campaign was "Don't doom the bloom."
Well, that was one of the things, from, not to go back to another story we were just talking about, but the pledge of preserving the outdoors. Yep. Staying on the trails is part of that. Yep. Those trails are designed so that you are supposed to walk on them and leave everywhere else alone. Let the nature be nature. Use that walking path that is designated as a walking path. Don't cut through nature and disturb all of those natural plants and animals, homes, and things like that. So yeah, if you're going to go visit this beautiful wildflower bloom, be respectful to the local community and the actual trails itself.
Dogs on a leash, kids near your side. Like, just don't mess it up, because this is a rare incident, and as much as it sucks that there's not water in Folsom, we do want to take advantage of these cool opportunities. So yeah, well, I know that because Folsom is a California state park, I know state park officials are already fed up with people visiting this place, but I don't want to tell anyone that they can't go, because it's everyone's right to go to this place. But be respectful, or they will close those parking lots. And I can tell, like, sometimes in like a social media post from a government official or a government entity, you can tell when they're pissed, but they can't be like totally pissed because they're the government. But yeah, I could tell they're pissed. Like, people are messing up the area. So just be respectful of it. But a really cool sight to see out at Folsom Lake.
And hopefully we aren't talking about this story next year, because maybe
let it rain.
And the
Folsom
Lake
so
fills
much
up
rain
again. And
do you have one of the songs that you can play?
I mean, which one do you want? I got them all.
Make It Rain.
You want your favorite?
That's my favorite.
Fat Joe, Fat Bob.
Better grab your umbrella. I'll make it rain. I'll make it rain. I'll make it rain in NorCal.
Yeah, we're doing a music video of that.
Let's go.
We're doing a music video for sure.
And that does it for the NorCal notes of the week.
Okay, now on to some more positive stories. We have Chuck and Leland coming up. Once again, Chuck is the owner of Tahoe Longboards, longtime Tahoe resident and super into the local scene there, as well as his 5-year-old son, the youngest, as I know, the youngest professional snowboarder around, Leland the Falcon. Let's go to Chuck and Leland.
All right, now we'd like to welcome on a couple of very special guests. We have Chuck Vogt here. He is the owner of Tahoe Longboards, along with his son Leland, who is, to my knowledge, probably the youngest pro snowboarder over there in the Tahoe area. He just turned 5, and he absolutely shreds the mountain. Excited to have you on, guys. Thanks for joining us.
Oh, thanks for having us. Pleasure.
So tell me, Chuck, when was the first time you got Leland on a snowboard, and when did you sort of realize that he had a talent for it?
Pretty much right out of the gate. The first day he was 17 months old. And, granted, he'd been pushed around on a skateboard a little bit, and did a little bit of carpet training, pulling him around on the snowboard on the carpet. But literally the first day he got on that thing and we slid him, like he slid like a top, like spinning both ways and totally centered on his board. Like, it wasn't like he didn't have a direction, whether he was going regular or fakie yet. I mean, he just absolutely had his balance right out of the gate.
So I know you love snowboarding a lot. That's sort of your passion. And what's it been like for you personally to watch him enjoy and progress in the sport that you love?
Oh my God, it's like a dream come true. I mean, being an older dad, I never thought that I would end up, with a little man to share that passion with. And it's a very special thing, for all dads and moms out on the hills to be able to, share that joy with their kids, and eventually they develop to where they're riding right beside you. And it's like, it happens overnight.
Well, it happens for some people overnight. I don't know if it happens that quickly for as many parents like you. What's it like watching him get so much attention from the media? I mean, he was on Good Morning America. What's that been like to sort of, watch his ascension in sort of the internet world and on the media?
For us, it's all good, if he gets attention, but we just love snowboarding, and whether it goes somewhere for him or not, he's going to have a lifelong passion chasing that snow like I did. And, you can't really, buy that passion. You can't, it's just such a personal thing, so to see him out there, it's great. And, to see him getting some free gear, which helps the finances a little bit. Yeah, it's awesome.
Hey, Leland, what's your favorite part about snowboarding?
There'll be airs.
Get big airs. Do you like riding powder more, or do you like hitting jumps and boxes?
Hitting jumps and pounds. Hitting jumps and doing boxes.
Doing boxes? Yeah, man, you've been flying off those things. It's been really fun to see. And you guys ride at Squaw mostly, right?
Yeah, pretty much Squaw and Alpine.
Leland, what's your favorite run at Squaw?
Siberia.
Siberia? Nice. Well, Chuck, I'm really curious about your story, because it sort of lends itself to how you've passed it to Leland. You founded and sort of started the Tahoe Longboards. And so I'm curious, what brought you to Tahoe originally? And then how did you end up starting this longboard company?
I came to Tahoe. I was, just getting sponsored at snowboarding. I was up in North Idaho for 3 seasons. And, every picture in the magazine back then, every other picture was Lake Tahoe. It was Squaw Valley. And it seemed like that's where the scene was. If you wanted to earn your rite of passage, then, that was the place to go.
So what about the Tahoe Longboards? Because I've read this story, but I'm curious about how it comes from your perspective. You were really into snowboarding, and you wanted a way to do that during the summer, right? So you started longboarding, and then you started making your own boards, right?
Yeah, I mean, it was a very organic thing, it was like Adam and Eve. I mean, it came from, dust, really. I mean, it was one spring, and we were over my buddy Matt's house, and he had the stack of plywood, and we had these old Kryptonics wheels, and just started cutting out pieces of plywood and riding them around like goofing off, drinking beer barefoot. And literally, we started engraving emblems of Lake Tahoe in the boards, and just like everything, hey, can you make me one? Hey, can you make me one? So we started making them, for people around the neighborhood. And, it's funny because we started it, just having fun. That's what it was all about, flying down the hills. We didn't even really think of trying to sell them and make money, but after a while, so many people wanted them. We're like, hey man, let's make these things into a business. So Tahoe Dave's in Tahoe City was the first store that actually, said, hey, I'll sell those things for you guys. But I tell you, you turn your passion into a business, and then, your passion can become hated at times, because, you started off just having fun, and next thing you know, you're like, how am I going to pay this? How am I going to get that? And you're like, the heck with all that. I just want to ride my longboard down the hill. And so that's how it really began. We were just carving the hills all summer, and it was like back then a new sport for Tahoe. There wasn't really anybody skateboarding down the hills. And it was actually back in the 70s, my good friend who's a photographer in the skateboard industry and snowboard industry, and just a great guy. His name's Michael Chantry, and he and his buddies were riding the little, skinny skateboards, down the hills in Tahoe back in the 70s, but then there was a big gap there, that went by where, when we came out with these giant boards, which looked like snowboards with wheels on, and that's what we were, snowboarders. So naturally our boards were as big as a snowboard. People were tripping on them, and still to this day, it's the best thing about it is just riding them down the hill.
It's interesting. I never really got into longboards. I was really into skateboarding and snowboarding growing up. But it's interesting watching the progression of longboarding and how those guys just are crazy these days. I don't know if you get as crazy as some of those guys flying down those hills. What's that been like since, it was sort of, you were into it when it started, and now you're seeing these guys pushing the sport. What's it been like to sort of see everything progress?
Well, that's a great question. When all of a sudden, we were riding them for a couple of years, and granted, I grew up, shortboarding. I was riding vert ramps and all that stuff. And that was another thing, why we made the boards. We didn't have any skate parks in Tahoe, and all the roads were rough. There was, nothing to grind on, no curves. So, naturally, we had all these hills. So that's what we rode. But then the sport kind of changed and got all serious. And, they started, wearing leather suits and, these helmets and all that stuff. And it's funny. We used to go to some of the first events. Streets of San Francisco was one of the first events we went to. And that was hosted by Red Bull, right when Red Bull was getting their wings. And, in between the heats, we would come out and walk the nose, hang 10, drinking beers. And the guy running the event would always be yelling at us like, hey, you guys get off the course. So, all of a sudden there was like all these serious dudes looking at us like, we hate those guys, and, to see it get so serious, that wasn't us. We were Tahoe style. And if you know anything about Tahoe, we do it to live, we're not trying to, really push an agenda or anything. So yeah, that was a big change. But now it seems like the scene has went full circle, and a lot of the freestyle and the carefree riding has really come to it. And you see these guys bombing down the hills, like you said, just t-shirts, no pads, they got a helmet on, but that's about it. And it's crazy, man. I used to bomb all the hills around Tahoe with my bare feet. They called me the barefoot bomber. And actually made this wingsuit. If you Google barefoot bomber, you'll see it. I made this wingsuit to slow myself down going down Old 40, because being barefoot and just in my surf trunks, that was a feeling that I was looking for, that just fresh air across your whole body, but couldn't figure out how to stop being barefoot and, just in my surf trunks. So I made this wingsuit thing. I love what the scene's doing now, because it's come full circle. And now, even shortboarders, everybody's got a longboard. It's not like longboarders versus shortboarders anymore. It's like everybody skates everything, and if you got a hill, well, then you skate it. Yeah.
It's interesting you say that, because you look at skateboarding and snowboarding today, and, there's only so many, like 16, whatever, 1420s and 10, there's only so many spins and flips you can do. And I see a lot of the new people in these sports sort of going back to their roots and getting really stylish with it. And because I think, it's cool when you're pushing it and you're spinning 100 times around in the air, but at the same time, there is this style that goes along with sort of the lifestyle, right? Like
Right.
it's been interesting to see, and that's cool that you sort of saw it, full circle. Those San Francisco events, that wasn't on Dolores, was that?
I forget what the street was. It might have been Dolores. That was back in 1998, I do believe.
They still do the Dolores Hill Bomb every year, and it's like a huge event. I don't think they tell anyone or get any permits, but there's hundreds of people there, and it's really cool to watch.
Those years I forget a lot. I mean, we were just partying like animals, and smoking and drinking, and so a lot of that is just a big blur. I just remember it being a good time.
What do you want Leland to take away from the lifestyle? Like, it's sort of snowboarding and skateboarding are sort of, this artistic expression, right? And you don't necessarily have a schedule, and it's sort of a different lifestyle. What do you want Leland to take from it and use, sort of in his life?
That's a great question too, because, when you go out there and you chase the money, depending on what kind of money you're chasing, that could just pull you away from, what you really love to do, and a lot of my friends over the years have moved away from Tahoe to, get a real job, so-called real job. But the first thing they do is call me up a year later and say, "Oh my God, I miss Tahoe. Are you still snowboarding?" And I'm like, "Yeah, every day, So I just want him to take away from that passion means more than anything. And if you have to make less money to live that passion, well, then so be it, because, the next thing you are 52 years old, and, your athletic ability is going the other way. I mean, everybody's got to make money these days, but, like my mom, taught me, is never give up. It's, if you got a passion, if you do it long enough, you're going to make some sort of living out of it, and your life will be evolved around that passion as long as you don't give up, so that's the biggest thing. I just want him to always have the snowboarding, surf, skateboard lifestyle close to his heart. And if it goes somewhere for him to where he can make a career out of it, then that's a dream job. But if not, and you're just barely skimming by, but you're skiing every day, well, that skiing has value to it. I mean, a lot of people just don't see that these days.
Yeah, I agree. What's it been like to have these sponsors come in? I know, he's not making like Travis Rice, GoPro money or anything, but the free, stuff coming in, what's that been like? Do you think that's because he's sort of gone viral on these different media outlets?
It's great. I love seeing his, just in the last couple months, his confidence, as far as snowboarding and being on the hill. I think he can really tell right now that, he's got a special ability within himself. So yeah, to see, that explode, if that's the way we got to make it happen to keep him in the lifestyle, I'm all for it, because snowboarding and skiing is a very, very expensive sport. Skateboarding, piece of wood and four, concrete's everywhere, so yeah, it's great.
What's been the response from sort of the locals around there in North Lake Tahoe to his, coming up in the world a little bit?
Oh, that's great. People on the lip know him as the Falcon now,
The Falcon, so, yeah.
They're screaming Falcon. And, he's got that orange.
Wait, I'm sorry to interrupt you. Where does that nickname come from?
Oh, you'll love this. We were cruising down to San Clemente to go surf, and Leland was in the back seat. He was 2 years old, and he was yiping like a bird, like screeching. And all of a sudden, like literally, this tractor trailer goes by, and it said Falcon transportation with a Falcon on it. And I literally turned to my wife and I said, the Falcon. And that's where it came from.
Nice. No, it fits in perfectly with like the blonde hair and him flying. I love it. So anyway, I'm sorry to interrupt. What were you saying about the locals sort of responding to his ascent on the mountain?
Oh, they love it. That probably means more to me than any kind of sponsorship is, your approval from your peers. Not that you're looking for it, but when your friends, we've all gotten older, we've all had kids, and to have, my friends, constantly, saying, yeah, Leland's ripping and all that. It makes me feel great as a dad. And, his grandmom, Nana here is so proud of him too. And, that's great because we are a big family in the community, and Squaw Valley, even though it's a worldwide destination place, it's still a very small place when it comes to the local family, so everybody knows him, and I got that orange outfit on him, courtesy of Shred Dog, that's a sponsor here, Shred Dog Clothing. And thanks, Mark, by the way, for everything. And luckily he had this like bright orange outfit that, looked like a traffic cone. And I said to myself, that's the perfect thing so people don't run into him. Because, little guy that was knee high is flying all over the place. And a lot of people don't look down to see. And, my biggest fear for Leland was getting taken out by, somebody just railing down the mountain, not seeing him. So that was the whole idea about the orange. And then that orange turned into a thing where everybody knows him for it now.
How do you decide like what runs to take him on and when he's ready for different challenges? You leave that up to him, or is that something you just try out and go for it?
Well, it was up to me, because he was pushing me to take him on stuff that he wasn't ready, I felt. But he pretty much dictates where he wants to go. He's got the awareness now when he's looking at the mountain, when he's going up the lift. He recognizes the terrain ahead and knowing like if it's going to cliff out or, something is on the other side that, he shouldn't be just flying off, But this year, what was your favorite lift this year?
Siberia.
And what else?
Dotos.
And
Big Blue.
Big Blue. What about KT?
Yeah.
The mothership?
Yeah.
Yeah. So he started pushing me to take him down KT a lot towards the end of the season. And, it still scares the dickens out of me to think about him taking a tumble in a spot where you can't really slow down if you tumble. And I know he probably can do it, but literally my heart, like all parents, I mean, your heart won't beat out of your chest any harder than when you see your kid in some kind of danger or possible danger, so he's pretty much dictating the pace at this point.
Yeah, we had Brandon Beck. I don't know if you know Brandon on this podcast. He writes at Squaw there, and he's got some kids that are a little bit older than Leland, and he said he's so much more afraid to watch them ride than he ever was riding himself. So I think that's like the overwhelming, and then he figured out what his dad was having to feel when he was doing crazy stuff. So
there you are.
Lost you. Oh, gotcha. So that's funny. Leland, let me ask you, buddy, do you have any tricks you want to try here in the future?
Yeah, I like backside riding, doing grabs and all that fun stuff.
You want to do some backside 180s, you said?
What else? Some flips?
Yeah.
What's your favorite?
Oh, you want to do some flips?
Yeah. Backflip.
Oh, yeah. Backflip.
Yeah, he was saying to me the other day in the park, Dad, I want to do a backflip. I was like, that's one time I stepped in. I was like, absolutely not. You are not ready for a backflip.
Are you guys going to like places like Woodward to like try new stuff?
Yeah, we got the pass up at Woodward Tahoe, so we're up there flinging ourselves into the foam pit. Not me so much anymore. But Leland loves it up there, loves the trampolines, A lot of times we go up there. I mean, especially in the warmer months, there's nobody up there. It's like the whole place to yourself. So, Leland has a blast just jumping into them foam pits. I mean, the boy loves to fly.
I feel like those type of places are having such a big impact on the sport because there's no way you can try that stuff, just willy-nilly on the mountain, especially for a young person. You got to get out there and sort of see how your body moves in those situations. Well, what do you got? You live in Tahoe. You've been there for a long time. For someone that's listening that may not live in the area, may live up north a little bit further, what are some of like your favorite places to go in North Lake when you're not snowboarding?
Leland loves biking. So we do a lot of moshing around in the trails. He just got this little electric stay-stick bike, it's called. And he's been just flying on that thing everywhere. We got a bike park right next to our house. So we're living in Incline. We're a couple, blocks from the beach. So, we keep it simple. The trails are right there in our backyard going up towards Mount Rose, and the beach is within walking distance. And we have a skate park and a bike park, So our favorite place is pretty much Incline. And, if we were to venture out somewhere else, then, we'd probably go to somewhere in South Lake Tahoe, Emerald Bay, is a great place just to go chill out.
Yeah. Gotcha. Well, I would love to snowboard with you guys in person. And Leland, I got a challenge for you. You ready to hear this?
Yeah.
We should snowboard together in person. And if you can beat me down the mountain, I'll buy you whatever you want. I'll get you ice cream. I'll get you a snack, whatever you want, but you got to be able to beat me down the mountain. You think you can?
Yeah.
I think you might be able to. Well, I'm a big fan of you guys, and Leland, keep pushing it, man, and have fun up on the mountain. And Chuck, keep doing awesome stuff with Tahoe Longboards. I appreciate you coming on. Where can people follow you to see, Leland and the longboard stuff?
Just go to on Instagram at Leland the Falcon. He's pretty easy to find, and at Tahoe Longboards, and our website's TahoeLongboards.com. Facebook's the same. I just started Leland his Facebook page, Leland the Falcon. Sometimes the attention he gets, he tells me, shh, don't, especially when I'm talking to certain people and saying, yeah, my son rips, or we get into a conversation, he's just like, Dad. So like I said, I think he's got an awareness about what's going on now.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Like your dad says, Leland, just have fun with it, man. And good things will happen either way.
Thanks to that lady right there. She has got good genes.
Nana, thanks for everything. Well, guys, thank you so much. Thank you for coming on. And hopefully we can ride together soon.
Anytime. Stay in touch, please.
All right, will do. See ya.
All right, big thanks to Chuck and Leland for coming on. That kid is cool, man, and I look forward to watching him progress as much as he wants to, as his dad was talking about. He doesn't want to push too much, like just have fun with it. It's snowboarding, but
he's a little badass. I see future kind of Shaun White vibes.
Dude, he's hitting rainbow boxes. He's doing jumps.
Skates,
he's slashing powder.
I wonder if he surfed. I'm sure he probably has it in him to do it.
But it's so funny because I've been following him since he was 2, and he was already like when he first started going just barely down the hill, and he was such a baby, right? And now, he's still a child, but he's doubled in size, and he's this little stout kid. And like his dad said, he wears this orange suit going down the hill so no one runs into him.
He's like a cone.
He's like a cone.
I love that.
No, super cool kid, man. Leland, keep doing cool stuff because we're big fans. So that does it for this episode of Talking NorCal. Real quick, I was just on the California Now podcast, Visit California's podcast, talking about some road trips up in the Shasta Cascade region. You catch it, Bob?
I did not.
Okay. Bob is so sick of listening to me across from me that And Bob also edits all these podcasts and produces everything.
Bob listens to these.
Bob
these
listens to
3
Zach
times
enough
before they go out.
But shout out to them. I talk about some cool road trips we did. What did we do? We did the Waterfall Loop. We did the Lassen road trip, and we did Redding to the North Coast, to the coasts of Humboldt. So check that out. California Now podcast. I think it's called Route 66 and Beyond, which I didn't even know Route 66 was in California. That must be a SoCal thing. We don't worry ourselves with SoCal stuff. So go listen to the California Now podcast. If we hopefully we get a bunch of downloads, I'll just go on that podcast all the time. I can be a regular. So thanks
Have we already read the review that was left on for our Talking NorCal podcast?
I mean, I've probably read it. I don't know if there's any new ones.
We did say that we would read one, and there is one. It might only be the only actual written one.
No, there were multiple I saw. You got to go on the different stuff, but let's hear it. What is it?
J Mika for me writes, love, love, love. My favorite podcast. Informative and funny. Easygoing while still hitting the hard topics. Their love for our amazing Northern California and all of us who can call it home is evident. Very well written. JMC for me.
Wow. Huh. Well, thanks for listening, Jem. J Mika for me.
J Mika for me. We have 12 ratings, all 5. Go ahead and go on to wherever you get your podcasts and give us a go ahead and
give us a
5-star rating.
Yeah.
You write something cool like J Mika for me, you might make it on this podcast. This could be your 15 minutes of fame.
Maybe go and rate us and tell us what you'll miss about Fat Bob.
Fat Bob is out of here.
Fat Bob is dead.
Skinny Bob
gone.
season is back, baby.
Go rate us. Great call, Bob. Go rate us because I don't ever tell it. I guess ratings would probably help us, right?
Well, we don't care. We do this for our love of the pod.
Well, we do this for a lot of reasons. We get, like, most of our views come from YouTube and from social media. You know, we do get some downloads of the pod, but most of the people watch this. So, you know,
shout out you guys.
Yeah. So we're going to do this whether people like it or not. So, which I hope you like it. I know people like it. I talk to people.
Whether you like it or not. I love that.
I get a lot of good, a lot of people
positive
reaching out
feedback,
to me. It's good, but all right, that does it. Make sure you subscribe to us wherever you get your podcasts. And that's all I got to say. And remember, stay active.
NorCal, we're hella NorCal, and I could spend all day just chilling in the South Bay. We're NorCal, we're hella NorCal, and Darren knows how to kick it down in Santa Cruz. We're NorCal, we're hella NorCal, and we get a little cray-cray when we visit the East Bay. We're NorCal, we're hella NorCal, and we get a little mental when we visit Sacramento. Yeah, we're NorCal, we're hella NorCal, and we protect nature's bounty when we visit Humboldt County. Yeah, we're NorCal, we're hella NorCal, and me, I'm hella cool, 'cause I'm a Vince Sebastopol. We're NorCal, we're hella NorCal, and you know that we gotta go. We're